We here at PWC TV love to get your email. Any comments and questions, you can just send them in. And for technical questions, hit PWCTV at sbtontheweb.com. This week's technical question is from Bob from Wichita. He would like to know, what is a rotary valve and how does it work?
That's an excellent question, Christy. Let's show Bob how the rotary valve works by going under the seat. This is a rotary valve. You have 3 different sizes depending on your model of craft, and in order to adjust it, you're going to need this, a degree wheel. Now let's take a closer look. I have this great cutaway behind me, so we can delve deep into the workings of the rotary valve. The rotary valve works like this. As the engine rotates, it opens and closes your 2 intake ports. This is the rear port here, as you can see it's closing it, and it's opening your front port here, allowing fuel and air into the crankcase. In order to adjust the rotary valve, you're going to need a couple things. You're going to need a pen and a magic marker. What you do after you remove your spark plug is you put your pen in your number 1 piston, that's your front piston, rotate the engine until the pen is at its highest point, which is top dead center, right there. Now we found top dead center, let's show you how to adjust the rotary valve. You're going to need your degree wheel. You need to put it on your engine with your 360 degree mark at the bottom edge of the front intake port. You need to consult your manual to see exactly which degree of timing that you need, because it's different for different engines. In this case, we're using 147. So we're going to count counterclockwise to 147 degrees, and then with our marker, we're going to mark that position. Now that we've shown you on the cutaway, let's go to the R&D center and show you under the seat. First thing we have to do is remove the seat. Next thing I'd like to do for easier access is to remove this center bracket here. With an additional 10mm wrench, we're going to remove these 4 bolts. First you remove the bucket, and then you remove the bolts. Next thing we have to do is remove this cover. This is where your Allen wrench comes in handy to remove these Allen bolts. After you remove these 6 bolts, gently lift up on the flame arrestor cover and remove it. Next thing we need to do is remove these 4 bolts with our 5mm Allen socket. Next thing we need to do is remove the flame arrestor element and remove the 2 bolts underneath. Depending on the model or year, yours may or may not have these 4 bolts. If you do, you have to remove all 4 with this 8mm socket. Once we remove these 4 bolts, you can remove the flame arrestor base. Next thing we need to do is remove these 2 Allen bolts with this 6mm Allen socket that holds down the carburetor. Next, you remove the last bolt on the carburetor. You don't have to remove the hoses or cables, just pull the carburetor out of the way so you can get to your rotary valve cover. This is the last bolt we have to remove to get to our rotary valve. Some of these bolts are hard to get to. There's 4 of them, and you might need a 13mm box end wrench in order to get to them. Move that out of the way. Next thing we have to do is find top dead center number 1 cylinder, and we start that by removing the spark plug. Make sure that when you remove your spark plug boots that you place them on their grounding posts. Make sure you know where your grounding posts are, because the positions do vary on model to model. Next thing we have to do is remove our number 1 spark plug. Once we have our spark plug out, we can put our pen inside the spark plug hole, grabbing onto the rear of the engine, rotate the engine until the pen is at its highest point, which is top dead center, right there. Once we've found the top dead center of our number 1 piston, we can remove our rotary valve, install our degree wheel with the 360 degree mark at the bottom edge of the number 1 intake port. In order to see the 360 degree mark, we need to have this little telescopic mirror here so we can see the marks. Thanks, Bob, for that great question about rotary valve timing. That's all you need to know. I'm Joe St. Louis. Come back next week for another tip under the seat.